What's up guys, welcome back to the garage. So today we're going to be working on an Infiniti G35 Coupe. We're going to block out the headlight housings by eliminating all that chrome, and we're going to be installing a dual Prism halo kit which changes colors and is all controlled with Bluetooth. So we're going to show you the process and how that's done, and here we go. Now, this customer did buy this vehicle used, so everything you see here was already pre-done by the previous owner. And these headlights are pretty shot. So this right here is actually, I believe it's, I want to say it's a vinyl overlay, but by peeling it, I actually think this thing's been painted. So he's going to need to get this thing sanded and buffed and then re-cleared because this is just not aging well. But we are going to do the black housing so you don't see the chrome on the inside at all. At that point, you know, this black paint no longer needed. So I'm hoping he can get that removed, or he might need some new lenses. So, but we'll leave that up to him to decide. So let's show you how bad these things are. Look at that. I don't think it's vinyl. I think it's paint, just for the simple fact that it's bubbling in certain areas and it's cracked. Because had it been vinyl, it would have just started peeling off. But yeah, I think it might have been just VHT, which is really bad. Yikes. So we went ahead and got the bumper off and we pulled the headlights. So now we're going to go ahead and focus on getting the headlights open, and we're going to show you how that's done. We have one of the headlights here on the table. So what we went ahead and did is we started removing the 3 screws that are located behind the headlight, which is here. One's right there, and then there's another one right here. And now we're going to go ahead and throw it in the oven. Now on the oven, we do have a specific setting. So we're going to go ahead and use our little home oven that we have here at the shop. Again, it is a home oven. Our oven is very unique and different from everyone else's. It has a lot of cubic inches inside the oven itself, and it's electric, and the heat's actually coming from the very top of the oven. So you might have an oven that's made out of gas, or it might have an oven that has a heat source at the very bottom. So you might want to be careful on how you set the temperature, because if it's too hot or you leave it in there for too long, or it's too close to the heat source, you might melt the housing. So find a spare set of headlights so you can test it out. That way you can find out where the right heat needs to be, or what else you need to keep it as a barrier for melting the housing. So on ours, we're going to set it at 265, and we're going to leave it in there for 10 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pull out the headlight out of the oven. It's been sitting there for 10 minutes, and I'm going to show you how they're open by using my hands. You don't necessarily need any tools. I mean, you could use them, but you'd probably end up causing more damage than anything. All you have to really do and focus on is lifting the clipping tabs that are underneath the headlight on this headlight model and on the sides, just by pulling them. And you can't pull them with just your hands, because you have to keep in mind that the headlight's already warm. It's been sitting there for about 10 minutes. And then once you do that, all you have to do is just start prying it apart, pulling it, sliding it out, just with brute force. Just use your muscles. There you go. You got the top. Gotta keep pulling. Gotta keep pulling. There you go. All right, you gotta just work it. There's more tabs over here, or clipping points, that is. Just pull them apart with your hands. There you go. Just keep pulling. Let's slide this out. There we go. There we go. Just like that. And that is how you open them. No tools needed. Just brute force, all muscle. There you go. This is the factory sealant. Factory sealant's still here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pull this bezel out, get ready for the halo mounting points, and then we're going to go ahead and paint it black. All right, let's get it off. There we go. All right, time to get this thing prepped for halo mounting and paint. And look at all that dirt. So that happens when the dust caps are not properly locked in, which is an issue that we had with this headlight. As we pulled it out, we noticed that this thing was open, and you see that water has been getting inside of it. So chances are he's been getting a lot of moisture, a lot of condensation, just because the headlights haven't been properly sealed with the factory caps. So always focus on that. Always make sure they're locked tight. That way you can avoid issues like this. There we go. So here's the big one. This one's going to go on the bottom. Now you're going to be thinking, that doesn't fit. Of course not. Put it mounted on the back. That's essentially where it goes. Perfect. And again, we have to create the mounting point so we can mount this halo back here. All right, time to get started. We're gonna need a drill and some drill bits here. And the drill bit we're gonna be focusing on is on the 1/16, so we can make these holes for the halo mounting points. So now we're going to show you the halo and how it's mounted. What we're going to focus on today is how to use the mounting tabs that these halos come with from factory. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab the halo and you're going to want to hover it over the shroud that it's going to go on, in this case here. We're going to have the wiring come out from the very top and we're going to mount the halo right here. So next what we want to do is make 3 marking points showing where the holes are going to be drilled, which is here, here, and here. Just like that, we've created the 3 mounting points for the halos. So now we're going to go ahead and focus on getting the bottom part done. So on the bottom portion where the fog light or the high beam's at for the headlights for the G35 Coupe, there really isn't a spot where we're actually going to drill any holes for the wires to go through. So instead we're going to put the wires through the hoops on each of these 3 tabs, and then we're going to melt the wires onto the actual plastic bezel. That way it's mounted and suspended right where it needs to go, and we'll show you how that's done shortly. We've mounted the 26 gauge wire around the 3 mounting hoops of the halo, and now we're going to go and slide this into the headlight bezel. The very tedious part of mounting halos. Make sure you don't scratch that paint. There you go. Alright, there we go. So there we went ahead and mounted the halos using the tabs. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it to the back and start twisting the 3 wires so the halo is mounted and secured. Alright, now let's go ahead and cut these excess wire coming out of it to make it look clean on the back. Okay, here's a look at the front. Nice and mounted, fully supported, will never fall off. Here's a big round halo for the bottom of the headlight, which is for the fog or maybe the high beam, depending on how your G35 is laid out. But as mentioned to you earlier, we said we weren't going to bore any holes. We were going to melt it down to the bezel, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to mount these 3 points this way. We're going to melt this tab right here to this plastic, and then this tab right here to that plastic. That way it's supported. And it looks clean with no wires going around the halo. So we're going to go ahead and get that started now. Welded there, plastic welded here, and plastic welded right there to the side. Now it's time to assemble this headlight bezel and put it back on its nasty dirty lens. What we're going to do next is we're going to fish the wires for the multicolor halo kit to go through the back of the dust cap. And we're going to focus on the bottom dust cap for the high beam or fog light, depending on the headlight configuration of the G35. So we're going to slide them into here to the back. Probably can't see it in the camera right now, but so there you go, they're already out. Sliding these through. I'll show you. It looks like in my point of view, we have the wires coming through here. Here's the bottom one and there's the top one. They're going to come right down here. We're going to pull them, join them together, and slide the lens together. Now the resealing process for these headlights is very similar to how we got them open. We got to throw these back into the oven, reheat them for another 10 minutes. That way the factory sealant gets all nice and gooey and hot. We pull it out and then we apply pressure on the lens to the back of the headlight assembly. That way the goo wraps around the actual headlight lens, and then we clamp them down and allow it to cool down for another 10-20 minutes. And then the glue is fully hardened and it's ready to be put back on the car. So that's what we're going to do next.
Be very careful that the wires don't fall underneath and touch the bottom of the oven, because if that happens, you're just going to melt the JSC connections and everyone's going to have a bad time. Now we wait 10 minutes.
So just like how we open up the headlights, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with resealing them. So now instead of putting them in the oven and prying it apart, we're going to pull it out of the oven and apply pressure together. So let's see if you can see it. There's a gap right here. We're going to go ahead and apply pressure to it with your hands. Just go all the way around it, make sure all the clamping zones are in place, holding the lens back into its original spot. You have to move quick, apply as much pressure as you can with your gorilla hands. It's just so we can get the glue to wrap around the lens so where the glue is at where it needs to be for the most pressure. And then you want to go ahead and clamp them down while they cool down. Here, one there, one over here, on top over here. And then let's go to the bottom. Let's put one here, one there, over here. Whoop, careful, these things shoot out at you. And one over here on this side. There we go. And now we just wait and we let this sucker just cool down before we throw it back on the car. I'm going to go ahead and show you what we've done since we sealed them up. We put a wire gland behind the headlight, wire gland or one of these little things. Basically you fish through the wires through this gland and then you lock and tighten it. That way the water doesn't get inside of the actual headlight assembly. A lot of people don't know, but when you start making holes in the back of the headlight assembly just to pull wires out, you got to cover them up, because if you don't cover them up, water and moisture and stuff will just get back inside the headlight. And the way that happens is that your headlights go through multiple changes in temperature. When you turn on the lights, they get pretty hot. When you shut them off, they cool down pretty quickly. And those are perfect scenarios and situations when moisture does get generated. So these are needed, that way you prevent that from ever happening. And let me show you what it looks like from the back.
So, here it is. Wire gland through the back. No holes, nothing, perfectly sealed. And these wires are there sticking out, and these are the wires that control the actual halos. Can't push them in, can't pull them out, because this is nice and tight and no water will get in.
Grab a drill bit that bores the hole, start drilling. There you go, we made the hole. Now let's see if the wire gland need to fit. Nope, more drilling, no problem. Let's see if that made a difference. There you go, it's in, nice and tight. Now we're gonna take off the GST connectors off the wires so we can slide through the wire gland. We use an X-Acto knife to push down the GST connector locks. Take some time. Want to be very careful. If you depin it incorrectly, you're screwed. You have to re-GST it again. There you go. Slides right out very easily. Pins are fine. We're going to lift the tabs that we just pushed down. That way they lock back down once we slide the form pin connector. There we go. And slide it through the back of the wire gland, like so. Here's a little grommet, and here's the other locking mechanism for the gland, and then we put back the GST connection. And that is set and done. There you go, just like that. Now we're going to do it for the other one. Perfect. Lock the dust cap. Dust cap is locked. Now,
And grab the rubber grommet, the ring, put it back here inside where it's going to get nice and tight. Perfect. Then we put the locking mechanism back in, and then we start rotating it, and righty tighty all the way. There we go. One more. All right. There you go. Nice and tight. And that's how it's done.